Louisville's a great team, and they, once again proved why they are a top 10 team in the country. But we gave them everything we had in the first half. Thought we played a really solid game defensively, contesting, challenging. They had two players make three threes that we dared to beat us and hit threes, and they did. And then, we still had a 2-point lead despite that. And then the second half, I knew that they were going to come out. We talked about at halftime that they were going to come out and play with a sense of urgency. It's exactly what they do. When a team has a lead or they need to change the complexion of the game, they press you, they disrupt, and we didn't handle it well. But they just made plays. They made plays down the stretch. They hit shots, and unfortunately, the broken record part comes where we couldn't put points on the board in the second half. And we had open looks in the paint, pull-up jumpers, we had layups, we had open threes, and we need for us to compete and give ourselves a chance down the stretch. Those are plays that we need to make, and we didn't. But we're getting closer. You talk about closing the gap against the top-ranked teams. We play Louisville twice each year, and we're just going to continue to fight and work to compete against these top teams.
You were out-rebounded 39-26. However, offensively, you were out-rebounded 19-5. Do you think that was one of the biggest factors in what ended up happening?
It was a huge factor. I mean, the two areas of concern coming into this game that we continue to see every time we play Louisville is offensive rebounding. And sometimes when you play a zone, that's a scary thing, but you know that it's going to happen. Some teams will get offensive rebounds. It's the points that you give up off of those offensive rebounds, and they had they have 21 points off of our turnovers, or 18 points, second chance points, and then we talked about taking care of the basketball. And off of our turnovers, they had 21 points. It's 39 points we put out there, which are gifts in my mind. And those are the two areas of concern coming in, and we just didn't handle them like we needed to today. And you can't do that against a team like Louisville. I mean, they capitalize on all of those opportunities.
In quarters 1, 2, and 4, it was a really tight game. To start the third quarter, 14 unanswered by them, 21-7 overall. Do you just put that down to intensity, or did they switch up how they were playing?
As a coach, when you have a lineup on the floor at the end of the half, with where we are right now, Asia Bug being a starter, she had come off of the bench today after coming back from a concussion, but I thought with her at the point, we were doing really, really well. And then we went back with the original starting lineup, and that's hindsight being 20/20 of going with the lineup that was on the floor at the end of the half. Instead, we went back with our starting lineup and we came out flat. We didn't get off to a good start, and it was disappointing. And then just once we got down so much, we couldn't recover. When we had it to 10 in the fourth quarter, we had opportunities. We had an open three, would have cut it to 7. We had other opportunities, got to stop. We still had another chance. We just couldn't get it to single digits.
You guys have been held under 50 points in 2 straight games. Going to Syracuse next, what do you have to do to get back on track offensively?
Have you seen their press, Syracuse's press? Syracuse has the best press, I think, in the country. They're relentless. They trap you 94 feet and all the way to the rim. They just are nonstop. And we have to be able to handle their pressure, because teams that do and be able to hit shots, that's the teams that have beaten them. But we don't score a lot of points, but we have to at least be in the 60s to give ourselves a chance to compete with these teams. Being in the 40s, we're not beating any of these teams in our conference. And that's the bottom line. We have to be able to put points on the board.
You guys were out shooting them for the majority of the game. You shot 60% in the first half, while they only shot 30%. Of course, it was only a 2-point game. And then you ended up still out shooting them like 46-34%, but ended up losing by 15. Do you just attribute that to the rebounding gap or the turnovers?
I mean, they just kept coming at us. They played with more of a sense of urgency offensively. I thought a lot of times we defended their sets. In our 2-3 zone, we talked about all the things that they run. You get familiar with a team when you play them so many times and what they run and who the players are that you're keying on. And I just thought we were late on some of the closeouts to shooters. We had some miscommunications, things that can't happen as the game progresses. Does fatigue become a factor? It shouldn't, but I think you just get you get a little lazy sometimes when you're constantly having to defend because you give up offensive rebounds and you're defending again, and you give up three in a possession. You start to get a little frustrated, and they capitalize every time you give them a chance. They do capitalize.
You spoke about Asia Bug, who hasn't been a starter, coming off the bench, usual starting point guard. You went back to Jasmine after halftime, and that didn't work. You went with Asia, I believe, after that, and that wasn't working either. And then you went to Cassidy for most of the fourth quarter. So what kind of spark do you think she provided in helping lead the comeback?
I thought Cass was a great spark off the bench. She hit a three, and I thought she was getting us into offense. We were struggling at that point with Jasmine, then Asia. Our decision-making, at the point spot was a struggle sometimes in the second half. And Cassie is someone who can be a calming effect, can make things happen on either end of the floor. I think she's deceiving in a lot of ways. And I thought she hit a big three, had that follow-up on a layup. And she took advantage of her minutes, someone who hasn't been getting a lot of time, but, just continues to practice hard. And when she got an opportunity, I thought she was a spark off the bench.
Brenna Wise set out a decent amount in the third quarter. Was there a specific reason for that?
When I watch our games and I see the rotations of our three post players, there are three post players, Brandy Harvey-Carr, Callista Walters, and Brenna Wise are our three top scorers. And they play the same position. And so when you're looking at a rotation, Brandy and Callista have had a really good high-low game going, and just really looking to take advantage of that in a high-low situation. And when that's working, and then we're getting killed defensively on rebounds, looking to put two bigger players in the back of our zone. So I'll probably watch the film and question a lot of things that we did in the second half with substitutions and when we made a run and who was on the floor and why I did certain things and made certain calls. I mean, it's just the nature of the game.
Coach, what is it going to take for the team to get over the hump and kind of get a couple signature wins going into early February, early March? What do you think is going to take? Is it late nights in the gym? Is it more practice time? Is it in-game situation?
Well, I mean, being so young, we have not taken back how we compete in practice. I just don't think we can. Usually with veteran teams, you start to taper off and your practices are shorter. But we're a team that needs practice, and we need to continue to compete in practice and really be able to maintain 4 quarters. I mean, until we can find a way to compete for 4 quarters, we will continue to do that. And it's not that we're going 3 hours, but we have our practice guys. Our players aren't on for the entire time. But it's going to take us being able to come out in the second half and maintain the competitiveness for 4 quarters. But believe me, I'm not content with where we are by any means. Our expectations every time we walk out on the floor to compete and give ourselves a chance to win. And we're just going to keep plugging away. We're going to keep working hard and keep searching for answers and in the right lineup that will make that happen.
Susie, you guys only made 2 3-pointers last time out against NC State and 4 today. That was something that I think kind of contributed to your success early on in the season. Is that something that you need to get more of, like from Elena coming off the bench?
Well, it wasn't for lack of effort. They were smothering Elena and Kawhi. And you saw the one time when Elena got a layup in the first half, we were able to run her off of a screen, and they fought over the top, and she was able to curl and get the layup. And we tried running things like that for her. We got her a few shots. But when teams are keying on certain players like that, what it does is open up for other players. It opens up driving lanes for your other guards, especially when Kawhi and Elena were on together. They were keying on them specifically. It should open up your post game. It should open up driving lanes. And we were getting scoring opportunities. I mean, we turned the ball over on some high-low passes. We missed some layups. And our margin for error against these types of teams is very slim. We can't make mistakes like that and expect to be able to come away with a win.
You guys have obviously had your 5 ACC losses all coming against ranked teams inside the top 20. Now you go on the road to Syracuse for a stretch of games, though, against teams that aren't as formidable. What do you think you guys can do to help recover and get back towards 500 level in conference play?
We're just going to keep plugging away. I mean, we need to keep our heads high. And one thing I said to this team in the locker room is, I'm not content with this game today. At Louisville, when we were when we competed, it was a 2-point game midway through the third quarter. I would say we competed, and we just didn't have enough left or just enough weapons. We got in foul trouble. But today, I'm not satisfied with where we are. I want to be playing in March with this team. I don't want our last game to be when if we're eliminated from the ACC tournament. But we have to find a way to beat some of these teams. And we have to keep believing that we can. We will continue to work hard. We will continue to prepare ourselves, prepare for our opponents, and just keep working hard. And our players have to believe. We have to stay confident. I have complete confidence in the players in this locker room. We have great leadership. The players are working hard. They believe that they compete. I mean, the energy has been tremendous. I think we are a team. I'm watching teams now that when I'm watching film, and some teams are hitting a wall midway through this conference season. And I don't feel that way about our team, even though we've kind of, these last 2 games, haven't been able to put points on the board in the second half. I really feel like we are a team that is improving as the season goes along. We're just going to keep working hard and we'll make game adjustments. We'll work on our combinations. And, I believe in everyone in that locker room that we can win.
Played the 2-3 pretty much exclusively, and I guess if you kind of think about that defense, the things that sometimes give it trouble are 3-pointers over the top of it and giving up offensive rebounds. Seemed like those were what Louisville capitalized on. Do you feel like there was things that you could have done better in those 2 areas to kind of prevent that?
I thought a lot of our breakdowns came first. Sometimes we didn't communicate. They do a lot of baseline runners and what we call wheel. Reverse, they pass the ball wing to corner, they dribble up, next shooter comes, they get the ball into the high post. I mean, these are things that we talk about every time you play a 2-3 zone. I thought they made plays at the end of the shot clock on dribble penetration where we came off of a shooter or didn't close out hard enough, ball reversal not closing out, and then sometimes we did, and then we gave up an offensive rebound. Louisville's a tough matchup for us in man-to-man, having played them. We felt our best option to compete today was going into 2-3 zone, and that's something we need to get better at. I mean, going against all of the teams that we are going to face, we need to get better at our matchups defense. We need to get better at 2-3. We need to get better at man-to-man. But I just didn't feel like we had the players to match up man-to-man to be able to Maisha Hines-Allen, who I think is the best post player in this league, had 4 points today. You talk about shutting down one of their key players, and we were able to contain her. Asia Durr had 13, who's their leading scorer at 18. It's Mariah Moore who has killed us every time we play Louisville. Mariah Moore has a game. I don't know if she sees Pitt on her jersey and her eyes light up. I don't know. But she has come to play, and I've tried to instill that in our team that we have to get out and contest her threes and make her a driver, because she just hits timely threes every single time we play them.
Speaking of matchups, you kept their leading scorer to 0 points in the first half, but she put up 13 in the second half. Was that because you changed your strategy, or did they just adapt?
No, I think they were more aggressive offensively. And, when you're keying on the 3 players that we had to key on today that our players knew, we give our practice jerseys, colored jerseys. Red is a shooter, green is versatile, so they know who to key on. So it was Mariah Moore, number 4, 25, Asia Durr, and number 2 at Maisha Hines-Allen. Those are the 3 players that they had to be aware of the entire time. You try to make other players, you had to respect players coming in off the bench, whether they were a shooter, driver, understanding personnel on the scouting report. But, between them, we probably held them, combined their average. But Asia Durr is very dangerous, and she came out in the second half, and I thought she was more aggressive, putting the ball on the floor, the ball movement, and when they bring Shook off the bench, who at 6'5" is a 3-point threat. So I just think they have so many weapons. You look how many players they played. They just have so many weapons that you have to be aware of. And Jasmine Jones, who killed us last time, another athlete that comes off the bench. So they're just, every time, they don't skip a beat sometimes when they make substitutions. But I thought they were more aggressive in the second half, and we didn't respond in the third quarter.